Right. So everybody, welcome to Inky Thoughts. This is the inaugural episode. This is my comeback to the podcast scene in the tattoo world, and hopefully it'll be great. I know for a fact it's going to be an awesome time today because I have one of my favorite people, especially from such a hot place as Florida, on this podcast today. I don't think he needs much of an introduction, especially if you have any familiarity with the American tattoo scene. But anyways, I'm going to introduce him a little bit now and then throw it to him. But it's Robbie Ripoll, as far as I've been taught to say his last name. A legend of the game. Do you want to
Thank you very much. So funny enough, my last name is pronounced Ripoll, but I accept Ripple because it's just like how everybody says it.
You make ripples, that's why. You make ripples.
Yeah, I make ripples. Yeah, dude, I make waves. But yeah, man, I've been tattooing. I've been in the tattoo industry for 30 years now. My dad was a tattooer. I started at the age of 16, professionally, very loosely, and I've been in love with it ever since. You know, it's been, you know, a lot of people have the moniker like tattoos saved my life. Tattoos almost fucking killed me a couple of times. Like, it's been a really hard road being a tattooer, but also the freedom that I've gained from being that tattooer has been amazing. As you know, I've been on Ink Master, number of Ink Mag YouTube videos. When I lost my leg, Ink Mag did a big video on me, and like it was really beautiful. Them sharing like the dark depths of my story. And I've just been able to do what I want, you know, travel the country and parts of the world, just creating art. And I've noticed at the more recent areas of my life, I help a lot of fucking people. I've saved a number of lives with my words and my tattoos. I've changed a number of lives. I give people motivation on a regular basis. And all because when I wanted to kill myself, I Googled how to be happy. And I found a bunch of motivational speakers, and I was like, these guys are great. But like, my people need to hear what they have to say from our language, you know, because when you speak regular white dude language, it don't translate to tattoo dude language. No. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even though I'm not in the industry myself, as you know, I'm a sociologist still. I may not have gone the full PhD route as I thought I was going to go at one point a couple of years ago when I first met Robbie. But there definitely seems to be like a certain hesitance sometimes within the tattoo industry to listen to certain voices outside of it. So it's always good when there's somebody there to sort of break down the barrier. I mean, that's what I'm hoping to do a bit, even though I'm not a tattooer myself, with this podcast, because I feel like I have, you know, I'm always been a bit of a tattoo lover ever since I was a little kid. I'm a collector myself nowadays, and I've researched tattoos as a sociologist, and I want to, you know, bridge the gap sometimes and bring the voices out that I know have something good to say, like yourself, Robbie, and other people I'm inviting on, you know?
Yeah, man, no, I love it. And like, so I don't know if you're familiar with the Ink Shrink. He's got a body.
He's gonna be, I'm interviewing him next week.
Beautiful. I was going to suggest him if you hadn't already reached out, because
Where are you, man?
he's another one trailblazing some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He's like, dude, I'm a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm not sure what he is, but you know,
psychiatrist. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like, he's the guy that fucking like went the full on natural, you know, traditional schooling route to help people in the mental wellness field. So like. And he's heavily tattooed, and he wants to make a difference in the psychiatry world and the tattoo world, which I think is really impressive. So
it's
yeah, man,
cool.
I think it's super great.
I've rarely seen somebody I share so much with, even though he's gone further than I did academically. But still, like him, I also want to both do something internally in the community and like help it improve the best way I can, but also help improve how other people view it externally. Which is exactly to be what Matt, as his name is, exactly what he's doing as well. And he inspired me to, which is this time it's gonna be a recurring segment or series, or what you want to call it, on the podcast, where it's gonna be called Ink the Self, and Matt's gonna be the first guy on it. And then I, funny enough, made some interesting contacts throughout trying to attempt a PhD that are all like heavily tattooed academics that also try to do something about the community and that. So I'm gonna try and talk to them about this stuff.
No, I love it, and I love the
how
fact
and
that
what it actually means. Like, so even I'm hoping that, I know it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Robbie can probably co-sign that statement, but I'm
yeah,
hoping that with their help, I can sort of both teach people outside the community, but also teach people within it and in the industry what exactly tattoos do for people.
yeah, dude. I mean, the healing aspects that I witness in my tattoo chair on a regular basis are mind blowing.
Yeah.
And when I finally got over my fears and started advertising healing as a modality, like tattooing as a modality to healing, it just felt more like my true north. And the more I advertise these things, the more people come to me with stories about how my tattoo experiences help them. But like, even further, not just my tattoo experiences, like I'm targeting healing, right? But every tattoo experience can like have the ability to heal someone. You're going through pain, you're putting trust in someone that may or may not be a stranger. You're collecting a piece of art and you're creating a fucking a lasting memory. So like there's so much, and then if you want to get deeper, there's so much deeper than that. Right.
Yeah, but there's actually a thing you said there that I've been contemplating for a couple of years now, which I think, because I often meet tattoo artists that are like, oh, this deep meaning and all that bullshit. You know, I think there's a sadly a disconnect and a misunderstanding here, because people are very ready, which I agree with as well to some extent, to say, hey, they don't need deep meaning, and that's true. But I also very much subscribe to the idea that there's no such thing as a meaningless tattoo. It may not have an articulated, like, oh, this was my grandfather's favorite pipe and I got it tattooed here on my thigh. But it can still, even just liking the art, because of how it connects to that time in your life, it can still absolutely have meaning to you. And even just, I think people way too often ignore the fact of being tattooed and what meaning that has in itself.
Well, yeah, because you're getting tattooed, you're changing your body forever in those moments, and you leave that session a changed person, whether you want to or not.
Absolutely.
You know, and one of my clients, oddly enough, so a little backstory with this, one of my best friends in the world, he passed away suddenly at 37, and he reupholstered all the chairs in my business over the years, right? So I still have his work living in my life, and that's beautiful, in my work. And so when we went and had a birthday party for him with his widow, I met one of her ex-boyfriends, pre my friend, at this birthday party.
Damn.
And he's an art therapist, and he ended up having me start. I don't know if you saw it on my social media a couple months back. I did a Dr. Doom back piece.
Yeah.
That was one session that day doing that Dr. Doom back piece. And like, he murdered it. And he gave me that concept of you're changed forever when you leave here. Yeah. And like, dude, that was so brilliant hearing that. And I'm like, wow, it's really true. I'm not just this crazy fucking weirdo that says, come here. Like,
I mean, Robbie, you are, but you're also in a great way that, I mean.
Right, because like I am that weird guy, right? Like I've always respected those weirdos that come in and say some fucking wild shit that's different that nobody really knows how to.
Like, I may have camouflaged it a bit today, but I wouldn't call myself normal either. But
right, exactly, dude. So like knowing that I'm not normal, but I'm also helpful and beautiful and strong, and my healing powers are immense. Like that's cool to me, it's just hard to accept that some days, before you realize it. So
I think that but that's what was my point before. I think actually great you said that, because it brought me back to something I kind of forgot before. But I think that a lot of tattoo artists might be afraid of that, because with that also comes another deeper sense of responsibility suddenly, I think.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's probably something that I've been afraid of, but honestly, I like the responsibility of helping folks heal. It's my job. It's who I am on this earth. But also, I was mostly afraid of being made fun of.
Yeah.
Like my inner child, my inner fat kid that got picked on a lot, is afraid to get taunted for who he is.
But it also seemed like, I remember your season on Ink Master a bit, and that also seemed to be like the angle they took with your times that, oh, here's this really childish tattooer. it was such a weird, strange angle, especially knowing you now, to try and like, because they were clearly a bit negative with it, not to cast any shade on it, but they were very much like, oh, look at this goofy motherfucker here from Florida with a fucking heart tattoo here and that. Just, you know.
And I knew that's how they treated me, but like, fuck it, man. I sold my soul to be there anyway. So here we are, right? Like, I'm dancing with the devil, baby. So pay me how you pay me, you know? The beautiful thing about that is I have that as a permanently etched history piece to always go back to and be proud of myself for evolving. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there was parts of that that's fucking true, right? But like, I feel like our role, me and my brother, was to show the inner child familial battle that we all face. On the deep level, they wanted us to connect with everyone who's ever fought with their brother or sister or mother or aunt or uncle or cousin. And they wanted us to connect with those people at our expense. But also, like, I don't want to speak for my brother. We don't really have a great relationship. But he shied away from using Ink Master as a marketing tool. And I leaned into it because I know that Ink Master was something valuable for my life, regardless how they spun me. Because look at me now, it's 9 years later, and I'm fucking killing the game.
But hey, man, you know I worked for a shitty tattoo magazine early on, as I told you before, and I still got amazing connections from doing that.
Right.
I mean, they may not have done any favors to me in my career or anything like that, but I still, you know, personally went out on assignment or went emailing with tattoo artists around the world. I made some great connections. There's people I still know to this day that want to meet me in real life, when I get, probably when I get more money to travel as well, all that stuff, you know, which is so valuable to me. So I completely get where you're coming from. Even if you're in a situation that might be iffy, not necessarily shit, but still maybe not be what you wanted it to be in your dreams, you can still get some great stuff out of it.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And like, that's that's like a major part of this, you know, right? Like, just all of the growth, all of the moving forward, all of the getting better at being, right? Like, I'm learning all of that through all the hard times I faced. And I feel like that's the message that I convey to people the most, between my leg, between Ink Master, between every failure and success. I don't know if you've seen the story that the long words I posted on Facebook recently about that coach Matt Clemmer. You know, like, I shared that not to get sympathy.
No, I shared that. It's very clear to me that you tried to say, hey, this was shit, but I still got something good out of it. I took the best out of a bad situation here. Like, and
that was the point, man. That was the whole point of doing that. And that's who I'm trying to be in this world. Share my experiences so that way you can see that your experiences are difficult as well. And if you think that's impressive that I'm one-legged and I do all this stuff, or, you know, I've experienced all this adversity and I do all this stuff, that's great, because that means that you have the availability to impress yourself just by not fucking giving up. And we talked about this before we started recording, how, you know, you started this podcast and then you put it on hold for the PhD program. And then the PhD program wasn't your true north at the time. And your podcast never took off because you never put into it what it needed. And now you're realizing, okay, I've readjusted, I've come back. This hardship I've faced has now created more great. Dude, I'm listening to this book by David Goggins right now. I can't remember what the name of this new book is, because, dude, I bought it one day, and then one day one book finished in the gym and this one started. And I was like, okay, universe, you're telling me I need this, right? So then, like, at his preface, he goes, this is the wake-up call you didn't want and didn't know you needed. And I was like, oh, you know, because sometimes we need a wake-up call, man.
I mean, you know me, I'm not spiritual in the same way you are, but I still agree with you on a lot of these things. Like, that there is sometimes that rough, like, even for me as an atheist, that was still something I needed. That became clear to me quite quickly, you know, after the initial shock being there in Scotland and suddenly realizing mid-PhD that, shit, this is just not it. If I'm putting in 70 hours a week trying to improve and I'm not improving, then there must be something else going on here, you know. And even though I'm not spiritual at all, that still, you know, was a wake-up call I needed to then go and figure out what do I need here. The reason I'm pointing it out is just that I think everybody can learn from that, whether they share your spiritual beliefs or not, that they can really learn from that thing of taking the positive from it.
Right.
From great shock, that it can really learn that, hey, this might be shitty right now in the moment, but it might also exactly point out to you, even if it doesn't immediately reveal what can you do, it still reveals to you, and you did this thing that, hey, you figured out this is not for you. And now you know a bit more about who you are, you know?
Yeah, man. And that's beautiful and that's brilliant. And like, you put shit on flowers to make them grow, you know? Like,
I love that analogy. Yeah.
The shit that the world throws us, dude, is just fertilizer for growth. Like the chapter I just listened to in the Goggins book, the art of getting punched in the mouth or some shit like that. Speaks very little about actually getting punched in the mouth, but he speaks very deeply on this 240-mile race he did, and all the shit that goes along with it. Like, dude, he talks about his ultra marathons and how like he looks forward to like the physical human breakdown afterwards. Like, he's shaking, he's crying, he's shitting, he's pissing, and he can't like clean himself because he's so sore. But like, he says the stuff that comes out, the self-reflection that comes out in these moments of being useless and helpless and needing to surrender and like let your wife see you at your lowest and nurse you back to health. Like, the shit that comes out of that is beautiful. So the punch in the mouth fucking teaches you everything. The fucking fertilizer, it's a fucking catalyst for growth. So all the shit that we've experienced is just fucking, you know, you see little shoots of fucking life coming out from that shit.
It reminds me, actually, you mentioned him earlier, the Inked Shrink, like Matt there. I saw a video he posted the other day. I think it was the other week, maybe I'm bad with time right now.
Right.
Well, he explained that and I'm gonna ask him about this when I interview him, but he thinks that the pain when getting tattooed, for example, is a big part of the therapy as well.
Yes,
absolutely. So it's sort of part of this transformation of whatever's going on, you're healing from with the tattoo. It sort of gets translated into something beautiful through this painful process, you know?
No, dude, completely. I have a friend that I've tattooed for years. He is now a therapist, academic wise, right? He went through all the schooling. It's actually funny. He a couple of my nephew and a couple of good friends go to him for therapy, which is really interesting. And it's cool because like when he talks to my nephew, he's like, bro, I know your story background to a degree. I got tattooed by your uncle a lot. Your shit's fucked up. And I see why you're fucked up. So I'm helping fix it. But years ago, he came to me with this questionnaire he wanted me to give all my clients to fill out, talking about the therapy that tattooing gives. And honestly, I should reach out to him and see if he's interested in starting a project again. Because this was a project that I feel like we could really gather a lot of information from, because I've done a number of videos on healing through tattoos on the Rad Movement. I speak about it all the time. And like I said, I offer it. You know, I offer that as a service. Like, we're still in the process of making my questionnaire. So instead of sending in a regular tattoo questionnaire, it's what healing are you looking to achieve through this tattoo session? You know, what shit are you facing? What's your biggest hurdle that you want help overcoming? And what can this tattoo session bring you? So yeah, dude, and the pain brings a level of vulnerability.
I think I have a really cool tattoo article, research article I'm going to send you if I still have it somewhere on my other PC, where it's a mother and daughter duo, where the daughter's a tattoo artist and the mother's a doctorate in psychiatry, and they did a research project on the clients and what it means to all that stuff. There's some good stuff in it. There's some other stuff where it's like, okay, maybe you're generalizing a bit here what, for example, the meaning of having water in a tattoo is and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, that could mean a lot of different things too. But there's a lot of great stuff in that article about exactly that, but like where because they are that duo, she sort of bring it down to this beautiful level where I think really a lot of people can get a lot out of reading that article. Because it's not just like high level academics, there's actually tattoo artists involved as well. They talk about this healing tattoos have and all that, and the term is also quite often a part of academia around it nowadays, which is reclaiming and claiming the self. Which in reclaiming, it's often from trauma. Where, for example, if you've been through sexual abuse, you might get a tattoo that resembles the resilience you're now building or whatever. But it can also sometimes, even without trauma, just be like I've done with some of mine, where it's just trying to claim a right to be yourself, because there's so much pressure from the world around us to constantly conform and join the rat race or fucking hop on the hamster wheel and all that stuff, or just look like everybody else. So it can be really incredibly powerful to go and say, no, fuck that. I'm gonna put a tattoo down both arms, man. Like,
yeah, dude. My chiropractor, her and her husband are friends of mine and they're clients of mine. And when she left her job so she could open the business, so they could open the business, she had me fucking blast her hands.
Nice,
both
man.
tattoos the same day, because like she needed to reclaim her strength. And fuck you, I got sleeves. Why can't I have my hands done as a chiropractor? I mean, you know, and dude, we were referred to her because like her experience with babies, like chiropractic babies. So like, if you're so good that you don't kill babies when you do fucking chiropractic on them, I don't give a fuck what tattoos you have, man. Like, dude, she helped my son with fucking constipation. He fucking wouldn't shit.
Nice.
Because we couldn't get him on the right formula because he was so colicky. And fucking chiropractic help clear him out.
Man.
Fucking make it move. And he's been getting chiropractic since he was like 3 months old now, 2 months old. Like, and he's a year and a half.
That's some delicate hands, man. Like that's some skill, man.
And they deserve tattoos.
But it's funny, man, because the one thing I'm gonna celebrate with when I finally get a bit more success is exactly getting my hands blasted, because I've always wanted to hand tattoos.
But you got to keep it straight and safe, and like make sure they'll hire you.
You know how I am. Careful, to some extent, to a smart extent, but
you're also intuitive. You're intuitive, and you pay attention to the situation, because you could have wrote out the PhD thing. You know, it's true though. You know, you leaving the PhD thing was you reclaiming yourself, and becoming the human that you were meant to be, and living in this struggle bus right now that you're living in. Because you know, like, it's not easy to fucking shift focus, but you know what? This is the shit fertilizer right now, and this fertilizer is the shit, bro. Like, it's helping us grow. So,
I will give the advice though to any youngsters listening into this that maybe not move countries when you do it. At the same time, that was a bit of an extra little kick in the dick on the way through this.
But you know, it was also a part that took apart.
I mean,
the process and helped you realize where you needed to be from this.
Absolutely.
So, you know, kudos to you for fucking following your dreams, man. Because you know, it's not easy to make that big leap, and then it's not easy to say I give up. And really, I'm shifting focus is really what you're saying, instead of I give up. Because
it was quite powerful as well, because I thought since I was 15 that was going to be the end all for me. Like, that was going to be it, getting the PhD one day, and then it would just solve itself somehow, everything. So it took a lot to suddenly sit down with myself and just say, through tears and everything, like, no. And that's okay. And then figure out that, well, the main passion I've had that's just held through throughout my life is tattoos. And it's doing something with this. I know I'm probably not going to learn to do anything to that, but I think I have something. Well, you can tell me if I'm bullshitting myself, Robbie, but I think I have something worthwhile to say and do in the tattoo world.
You do, man, and like that's the thing. You have the proper focus, and you have the right heart for it. And it's, dude, podcasting is a hot topic right now in tattooing. You know, it's a big thing. We all want to be heard. Humans need to be heard. So like, podcasting gives us a chance to fucking share our voice. And were you attacking it from a mental wellness standpoint? And you know, the first meeting we had, the first interview was, you know, basically you were just kind of like, fucking all these gatekeepers in the tattoo industry, this is bullshit. You know, like, you are trying to.
But you know better than most. You've been in the business 30 years. Try being a woman or a black person or an Asian person, anything like that in the tattoo industry, and you'll have a fight coming your way, you know, still today to some extent. I mean, it's better in the US, the UK, Canada, and places like that, but try and go to where I'm from in Scandinavia, or even more specifically Denmark. There's still, at least in my opinion, I'll probably get some hate for this, but I don't care. There's still quite a lot of gatekeeping. Like, especially as soon as you leave the big cities, suddenly it's oh, you can't do that. Like, I've had tattoo artists back home years ago when I was still working for magazines. I posted something like, hey, look at, do you remember Lumpini, Miriam, the black female tattoo artist from LA? She was really big at
Yes.
some point. She does these really colorful pieces but a dark skin. And I posted some of her stuff and said, hey, remember, to all my black friends and people of color friends I have, if you are patient and find the right artist that knows your skin type, you can get colorful tattoos too. You don't have to, because I just had a friend say, oh, I will get tattoos, but I can't get colorful ones, so it doesn't matter to me. I was like, you can.
Yeah.
And then I had this one, I'm not going to name them because that's their business, but I had one person say, hey, you're making us out to be racist now. I hadn't said a word about that. I just said, hey, shit, man, and I was like, you're kind of calling out yourself now. I'm just making it clear that, hey, like with a carpenter, some know how to work with certain types of wood, others don't. And if you want something built out of mahogany, you're not going to go to somebody that just knows how to work with ash, you know?
No, you're absolutely right, dude. And like, I cut my teeth tattooing a lot of fucking people of color. My shop was right outside of a really rough neighborhood. And they were, these drug dealers and fucking rad dudes, fucking great people. They would come in and like, I remember one time I was like, yo, can you fucking quiet your phone? He's like, you like getting paid, don't you, Rob? I was like, okay. So like, it was very interesting to learn the other side of life, because I've always thought drug dealers were really interesting. And I'm not saying that everybody that lives in a rough neighborhood and is a person of color is a drug dealer. This is just my experience with a lot of the folks that I was
that came into your specific shop. Yeah.
Right, exactly. We live in a place called, there's a place called O'Galley Boulevard, but like EG, O'Galley area, that's like a thing, right? So I made this little sigil up, EG, Eternal Gangsta, and all these dudes got this on them. And like, man, they'd come in and they'd be like, Rob, I'm fucking, it's raised up. And I'm like, shit, okay. Noted, I shouldn't fucking tattoo people with sensitive skin so hard. So I learned a lot about, darker skin tones. And then, I'd play with color with them.
Yeah.
And what it happens is, it's a human thing. You say, hey, what do you want? And they say color. And then you say, okay, well, look, you're darker than I am, but I can give you color. It's just not going to show up the same because your glass on your fucking bottom boat is tinted darker than my glass. So the sea is going to look different colors.
Well, that's the thing. As a dermatologist once explained to me, the outer layers of skin are sort of transparent in a certain way. Yeah. That's why you could see the tattoo, but it's basically just another tint. That's what skin color is, like that. And I think you said it in a very cool way there as well, with the whole like, yeah, it's going to work differently. But that's also a thing that I always think about quite funny, because I don't know if many tattoo artists question this. Some say it in the great way without, I think they really realize what they're saying. But sometimes I think some artists think that they have sole judgment on whether a tattoo works or not. But the client's a big part of that. If they are stoked with a tattoo, whether you think it looks great in that skin tone or not, it's not really your problem. If they're stoked with it, if they think the colors pop in the right way in their skin tone, no matter what it is, then it fucking works. Because it's on their body,
No, you're absolutely right. And like, I have been him.
Yeah.
I have been him. I have been the guy that thinks I know everything and I need to just shut you down, stupid client. And that made me feel bad. It just didn't make me feel good. Like I thought I was going to get the validation I needed as an artist by being so strict. And I noticed that the more I work with people and the more I love people through the process, it's great. Like right now I do mainly full day tattoo sessions. So almost all of my clients use numbing. And I'll numb them up. I'll bring them in my room. I'll grab my tubes of numbing. I'll numb them up. And then we'll sit here on my iPad for an hour while they're numbing and we'll create their image together. Yes. And it's so easy because I have every question answered right before me. I have their energy feeding me. I have what they're saying and what they're not saying coming through to me. And I can create them something right there with fucking like an idea of, hey, this is kind of how the basic bones of it are.
That's awesome.
And boom, it's awesome. But I used to be like, Fuck you. I'm gonna draw it. If I fucking need your input, I'll beat it out of you. Shut the fuck up and let me do my art. And that felt gross. And I noticed
I also do get still the other side sometimes. Like I saw you on John's podcast, the Unemployable podcast, and I get some of his sketches, for example, where it's like, okay, you want to go in and get across, and it's the wrong way around. And there are certain more well-known symbols where I get why tattoo artists also want to steer people clear of like doing something they don't get in the moment might end up looking the wrong way. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, I also get that side of it, that sometimes you want to say, hey, if you want a lion on your chest, maybe not point the face in there because it's gonna look like it's sniffing your armpit, man. Like,
right. You know, and if you fucking have the nipple completely cut out in the fucking cheek, it's gonna look stupid, bro. You know, let's tattoo over the fucking nipple. I know it's gonna hurt, but like, I'm here for the art, friend.
Speaking of that, I watched one of the Ink videos earlier, not one of you, but of tattoo copycats earlier, and it just reminded me of the really famous one of the community. And if nobody's seen this yet, it's with the Batman thing, where he copied the nipple into the arm.
Yep. Dude, it's funny. So TJ's a Florida artist, so I've known him for years from conventions and shit, and he was also an Ink Master. Yeah, so like I knew TJ way before either one of us was on Ink Master, and it's just so funny, like that. Like how do you do that? You know, like I've traced and stolen tattoos before when I was younger and didn't know what I was doing and executed them poorly.
I think there's some learning in it sometimes.
Absolutely.
As much as I get how it could be annoying, it's like if you start out, or if you took a fine art course now and you then try to paint Starry Night or something like that, you know?
Right. It turns out weird.
Exactly.
Dude, and it's like, so there's two artists that I won't bring up their names because they're great people, but they both got caught stealing artwork and or photoshopping artwork at some point in their careers. I've seen them both thrive since then and like really fucking go well, and I'm proud of them. But it's just so interesting that was a part of their journey they needed to go through. You know, like you can sit there and hate
pressure on you. You're in a creative field and you sort of need to find your style and all that. And I think I kind of get how that gets to you. It's the same with a student that sometimes wishes, okay, could I maybe go online and find this essay written by somebody else and get away with it? Because you're under pressure. Like, there's a lot of pressure to like create something, no matter what it is.
And when you plagiarize and get caught, it's
that's a wake-up call.
That teaches you how to grow. Yeah.
It's the same thing we were talking about. It's a wake-up call, because then you learn, oh shit, that was not worth it. Like, that was shit. Like,
dude. You know, my two divorces were miserably painful, but they were great teachers. Losing my leg was miserably difficult, but it was a great teacher. You know, like being a single dad was fucking hard as shit, but it was a great teacher.
Your kid seems to have turned out all right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And like, dude, I fucking visualize him on big stages and all kinds of cool shit all the time because I know he's going to make it, you know, because he's dedicated, and he grew up under me, watching me get punched in the mouth by life over and over and not give up.
I mean, even if he doesn't make it to arenas, I doubt he's not going to make it to a place where he at least can't live off the music. I think he's absolutely going to get there at least. That's already like talking about another thing you also talked about last time, which I also took to me, that like you also got to adjust the way you see success sometimes, because else you're just going to keep beating yourself up. And sometimes like I just want to live off of doing something in the tattoo world, for example. Like, that's my dream. Like, I don't need to be fucking flying private jets or anything like that. It's awesome to think about that sometimes. So like think about, if I just have money to like live in a big house. But even if it makes it the other way, that's still fucking great, man. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on that. And that's funny because so with my son, two of his friends also moved from out of state to come live in our house until they get their money together to get their own place. Nice. And like the whole plan I have for them is make a living making music. Yeah. If you can make a living making music, if you can support yourself and your family making music, that's all I want from you. The stages and the arenas and all the big things that happen after that, that's fucking free.
I mean, bonus. Shit. You meet musicians, especially sometimes, that are like almost happy later in life they didn't go to the arena stage because they love the like interaction with the crowd. The other one where they just live making music.
Yeah.
Because there's also always a downside to the other stuff.
Right.
I can't remember who I saw, but I saw one of the, I can't remember. It was a very famous, it might have been Val Tatfu that talked about it, or somebody else at that level at one point that talked about that when you get certain popular, you don't really get to reinvent yourself in the same risk-free way art-wise, because people just expect, hey, you got famous making this type of tattoo, so that's what you do now.
Right. And it's funny because like I made it so specific to be a new school artist, and now I'm not as driven towards new school.
Yeah.
You're gonna ask me to do new school? Yes, I'm always gonna get excited. Am I gonna deliver a fucking amazing piece of artwork every time? Absolutely, because it is like one of my specialties, and it's near and dear to my heart. But guess what, bitch? I'm also a realism artist. Guess what? I also fucking enjoy doing mandala tattoos that I didn't enjoy doing before.
But that's the thing, like you're creative, and especially creatives, you always want to try something new. That's how you keep yourself inspired, right?
Right. And like I know I'm to the point where I'm known for certain things, but it didn't get so known for one style that I can't shift. You know what I'm saying?
And that must be fucking great. Like that freedom, like
it's great and painful because now because pain is what helps you progress and evolve. So when you're like, I kind of hate where I'm at, what do? Oh, let me try some other things. But like, pain also kept me from being a realism artist because I've had dudes that were jealous that I was going to take their shine because they saw that I could do realism. And they'd say, you're better at new school, do that. And then when I started turning out realism, the people closest to me were like, I think I like your realism better than your new school. And I know it's going to hurt your feelings, but I love you and I'm sorry. And you're an amazing puzzle artist. More. And so I'm like, oh, wait, I'm allowed to be whoever I want to be.
Yeah, man.
I'm allowed to be whoever I want to be. And you know what? If anyone watching right now needs a permission slip, boom, here's your permission slip. You're you're allowed to fucking be whoever you want to be.
Absolutely.
Don't fucking fall into the rat race. Don't stick with your PhD program just because you think you're supposed to. Because if it feels myth-aligned, it's myth-aligned, and we gotta fucking fix it. So yeah.
But I mean, I think that's also like what we're talking about, as Robbie's mentioned when I interviewed him 2 years ago almost. There's also something we talked about the tattoo community, that it's nice that there are more people in your generation, especially the younger ones, that instead of putting each other into boxes or saying, hey, you're this now, or you have to like this, there's sort of the freedom to say, hey man, if you already, like I saw one of the guys talk about it today on an Ink video, and I love those videos, so they're probably gonna get mentioned a couple of times, but he talked about how it's actually great that maybe they don't know the skill of like welding needles or fucking tuning up coil machines, but if sometimes they get to focus on their art directions and reinvent themselves and get great at like really cool things and develop new art styles and all of that stuff. And it's always great I always love when I see guys like you or Derp and they sort of talk about, hey, that's awesome. You're sort of paving the way for these youngsters to really fucking get a chance to sit at the table instead of just be like, hey, fuck you guys, you gotta learn fucking every style, you gotta weld the needles, you gotta fucking, like, where's the autoclave machine? I know we don't use them anymore, but fucking get that sucker out, you know? Like,
dude, I'm 100% here with you on that, because like, there was a lot of gatekeeping at the beginning of my career. I was told you're not supposed to tattoo over nipples or belly buttons, but I was doing that at the beginning. I was doing blood lining and fucking color lining and fucking gray lining for years and just not telling people because they told me I had to have a black line. So like, because we weren't so social media rich back then, I was able to hide and develop my style that when people came into my shop, people stop me on the street and say, that's a Robbie tattoo, isn't it?
Oh, that must feel fucking awesome. Like even my artists back in the day who did my Star Wars sleeve and all that, I've met people who, even for me, it feels kind of cool when people are like, oh, that's a Thomas tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, man, fuck yeah, it is a Thomas tattoo, you know? Like,
yeah, man. Shit. And like that gives us a healthy, healing, happy feeling as artists, and you as well as the client, because now you're special. You don't just have a regular tattoo, you have a Thomas tattoo, you have a Robbie tattoo, you have a Val Tattoo tattoo. You have a Miriam Lumpini tattoo. You know what I'm saying? You have all these different specific people that you feel their art when you look at it. And the client goes to us for that. The client goes to that artist for that. I go to my artists to get the feeling that their art brings. Like the dude doing my arm, he's covering my whole hand, fingers, and sleeve with that old tattoos that I had, covering all of it with a style, with new school shit, with a realistic flair. So like he's touching my two favorite places in tattooing, and I don't have to fucking do it myself. And I get to go experience.
Yeah.
I get to go experience what it's like to get tattooed by Jake Swift instead of try and be the guy that's tattooing myself because I want to see the art I want. No, his art is so dope. I want to see the art that he has putting on my skin.
Well, that's also the thing. Like, you're still a collector as well. You're an artist, but you're also a collector.
Absolutely. I don't know if you're familiar with Anthony Bennett. He blew up recently because of that blackout sleeve that he covered with color. He's covering this whole sleeve. We started this in November.
Was that on that guy? Is that on the guy that has the red in the blackout, or is that another guy?
No, that's Remy.
Yeah, that's Remy. Yeah,
he's a collector. Yeah. No. So Anthony did this blackout sleeve recently. It was somebody had a blackout sleeve. He put like a jaguar or some sort of wildcat over it, a blue flower, and a couple other stuff. Well, because he's a good friend of mine, I was like right there next to him watching everything blow up.
Nice.
And I watched him go from like 12,000 followers on Instagram to like 60,000 followers on Instagram. And like Remy fucking did a fucking segment in his YouTube thing about Anthony. And like, I just watched him really like gain some traction from this. And it was funny because before, like I had him start my sleeve before that all blew up. But because I'm a collector, and I was like, I want artists that are closer to me so I can travel to them easily. He's 3 hours from me, and I saw his skill and his style and his everything. And the cool thing is, he's like, bro, I remember meeting you at 17 years old at a tattoo convention with my dad, who's a tattooer.
Cool,
and
man.
I remembered that interaction, and I was like, you were dope back then. Your dad was dope back then. I'm so excited to have met you guys, and now I'm honored to make this real life friendship. Like, dude, we laughed together, we cried together, we had a fucking beautiful time when I went there and had my tattoo done by him. And it's just really cool that I get to be a client, you know, like, dude.
I think it's also important to have that experience sometimes as a tattoo artist.
Oh, absolutely. Between him and Jake, it's completely changed my process of how I tattoo. Because I used to lean into freehand so much, but it was so time consuming, I didn't love doing it all the time. And now, like, they showed me this, like, iPad thing where you take a picture of somebody's arm and you map it out and, like, boom. And I'm like, wow, I can map out ideas without trying to explain to you my thoughts. Because I'm great with words, but when it comes to art and words, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm great with feelings and words, but art and words just gets messy. And I usually end up yelling at my clients or arguing with them, being like, shut the fuck up, I'm doing. And years ago, I noticed.
I'm doing your favor, man. Like,
right, dude. As soon as I picked up the pen, I stopped getting frustrated with them because it wasn't them I was frustrated with. It was my inability to say what I
articulate it.
Yeah. So I just show you my art. Now, while you're numbing, I create something on the iPad, and I'm like, hey, it's roughly like this. And they're like, oh, cool. And then I'm like, you know, blue or green? I don't know. Cool. Let me show you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So it's really cool. And also, actually, Eric Long, he goes by Rock. He's done this Paul Wall portrait on me. But he also, man, I told him, I was like, Anthony's going to be doing this whole Florida sleeve, and I really was going to give him this piece, but Paul Wall, this piece means a lot to me, so I want to be able to see it. And I was like, it's going to be a Florida themed sleeve. So he put the palm tree and the little like pink flamingo floaty and like the pink neon. He gave me the tattoo that I didn't know I needed, but I knew I wanted. And
I was just about to ask, as the foreign guy, like, where's the gator? Like, if it's a Florida sleeve.
Well, the gator isn't there because we have the flamingo, you know. So And I'm more of a flamingo and manatee type guy than gator guy. You know?
I would never think, like, when I think Robbie Ripoll, I don't think like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna have like this sick bloody gator down his arm or something.
But I think gators are dope, and I love tattooing them. But yeah, man, like, and then the last piece that we're gonna put is I think like two manatees, like a mom and a baby or some shit.
Alright.
I've always loved manatees, but I just really love the idea of just
They're pretty
having
chill
those.
animals. I mean,
They really are, man. They're herbivores. Their sheer size, when I'm around them in the water, I panic because
yeah,
they're so
imagine
big.
so. That's like a
And
that's
no,
like
they
how
won't
I
hurt
don't
me.
need to go whale spotting ever, because that's a metric ton animal coming up the water. I'm like, you know what? They've got
I don't need to be on this
amazing
boat.
nature photographers. I can watch that shit on my computer. I'm good, man. Like the
Dude,
closest I
for
want to
real,
come to a
man.
shark bite at the same time, it's also just watching it on a tattoo sleeve or something like that.
For real, man. Yeah, I live in Florida, so I do water stuff. And when you're around manatees, you know, that close, they're not gonna hurt you, but they're scary. But yeah, dude, like I went on a whale watching trip and I didn't even think about you know, all that. You know
How
what I'm
big it
saying?
is, like
Like how big they could be. I'm just like, oh, I'm trying not to die because I feel sick. You know? Oh shit, man.
fucking
Dude,
hell, man.
I want to ask you, are there questions you want to throw down?
No,
Because
man,
I feel like
wait.
we're doing very good at
Oh,
talking, so I want to make sure that I don't
absolutely no. We're getting around everything I wanted to do. Like the only thing I
beautiful.
want to do when we self-indulgently here as we're near sort of the latter bit of the hour here is just ask you, what do you think I have that makes this podcast worthwhile?
Do you want me to snack on that? Or do you want me to spit
Up
it?
to you, man. Like we're not gonna edit any of this out. I like the rawness of this, man.
Ah, dude, I'm ready to spit it right now because like I don't need time to think about the impact that I feel like you could have.
I mean, I get why your son's a rapper if you're that ready to spit as well. Like,
Bro, freestyling has always been my game. But yeah, dude, like I see you know, in the way that they say it in the movie Avatar. You know, like I really see you, man. You know, like I see what you're doing here. I see what your intentions are, and I can't be the only one shedding love and light and healing. You know what I'm saying? Like we need more people that want to help this community heal as a whole, but also help the academic community open their eyes and heal as well. Because you're both, right? You got your foot in both graves and you don't know what to do. So marry them, and it's beautiful.
yeah,
You know, because like similar to me and all the dudes that and all the humans that I've talked to about like wanting to market healing as a modality in tattooing, people have told me do it, do it, do it. And I am glad I listened to them because they're right. And you have that same thing, man. You know, also you're not dumb. You pay attention.
Thank you.
You know, like you go and talk to the right people and bring the right people on to show to shine as much light on yourself and your purpose and your mission as you can. You know, like picking up people like me, Derb, Matt. You said his name was the Ink Shrink. Yeah, dude. Like, dude, you're on the right path. And and then the people in the academic field that you know that you're gonna bring in, bro. You're gonna make a fucking huge change. You just have to not give in to vanity metrics and keep pushing even when the numbers aren't high.
Well, I don't have any expertise in that, so I'm gonna very plainly ignore that. And if it becomes popular, it becomes popular.
That's it, man. That's it. Like when I
yeah.
look at the video that I released last week on the Rad Movement, it's got 19 views. I have to shift my focus into at least 19 people got to hear that. At least 19 people may have some gratitude. But then the short I made on Facebook had over 1,000 views, you know, and then the short I made on Instagram had over 1,000 views. So like, don't put your value in the vanity metrics. Just know you're helping.
It's actually funny you're saying that because I don't know if you saw her video. You might have Delphine Noistoy, French tattoo artist. She's a French tattoo artist from Toulouse, and she did a really cool video that sort of went a little bit viral in the tattoo community, where she talked about how she wanted to put more attention on the fact that she's a tattoo artist and an artist and a painter and all that stuff, but she never signed up for having to be a content creator and having to suddenly be a social media person. And even though, yeah, fair enough, some people will comment like, but that's just part of it now. Stop bitching on that. And I'm like, no, but there's some value to what she's saying. A lot of you guys, like you, for example, you started fucking 30 years ago and you didn't sign up for any of this shit. You're a great artist. You're a fucking fantastic tattooer. And suddenly there's this whole thing with like, oh, you have to do a funny video as well or something like that,
Right.
So she luckily said yes to wanting to come on and talk about that. And I think I'm the only one that was like, yeah, fuck, man, I want to discuss this with her. Everybody else is just like, oh, she's just not a person whining about. And some person even wrote, well, you have 50,000 followers, so why are you complaining about social media? And it's like, you're missing the point, dude. She's not complaining about it. She's sort of shedding a light on something you're all going through, man.
If you had 50 people behind your couch watching you play video games, it would be overwhelming. Imagine 50,000.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, dude? My reach has well over 100,000 subscribers collectively. So, like, dude, when we go out sometimes in our town, I'll have people come up to me and like not know how to speak because I'm such a star. And I've had that everywhere.
And here I just think you're an asshole. I'll speak to you anytime, like
right. And that's the thing, I'm over here thinking I'm just an asshole. And like up until recently, I really haven't grasped the levity of who the fuck I am to some people.
Yeah.
But I've now realized that if I don't accept their love and their admiration, I may as well smack them in the fucking mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to do that as well. Like, for example, you've kept telling me throughout the years we've known each other now that, hey, man, you're fucking cool. I think highly of you and all that. And I keep going like, oh yeah, of course. But what does he know? Like, keep thinking like that to myself. And my ex-supervisors for the PhD said, fuck, man, you're fucking smart. You're really intelligent. It may not be PhD shit you got to do, but you're fucking brilliant. So just keep going, man. Like, and I know the feeling of like having a hard time, like letting that sink in and believing in it,
Dude, imposter syndrome is real as fuck.
Fuck.
You know what I'm saying? And we all have it to a degree. Every single one of us. I feel like that's part of the reason why my father really didn't like crying in front of anyone because he felt like less of a man. I've had such a hard time grasping who I am to people and accepting that I am what these people tell me I am. And you know what? If they all fucking say it, it's got to be something. Like I made this post on Facebook yesterday, I think it was. Like, if I've ever impacted your life positively or, helped you or saved your life, let me know. And like, dude, I just went to a fucking concert locally recently to see one of my favorite musicians. And at the show, this man walks up to me and he's like fighting tears, talking to me. And I'm like, dog, what's wrong? Let's talk. And he's like trying not to cry and trying to talk to me and deflect, but still like help him heal, right? And so he posted on that I saved his life that night because he was going to go on a live himself after the concert.
Jeez, man.
And
I'm happy you helped him, man.
Dude, I'm so glad. And it was the perfect concert for it because it's this guy named Mike Love and he's all about love and like togetherness and like, dude, watching him perform, hearing his fucking real raw emotion come through was so healing for me. Being in a room, feeling his energy. Because, dude, through COVID, I listened to his music constantly on YouTube.
Man. Yeah.
And I tattoo the homies at the house and create art at the house. And that music was always playing. And then I got to help people heal at his concert. What's
fucking awesome, man. I mean, dude, as you would say, that's rad.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That's rad.
I mean, shameless promotion of Robbie's movement there, but that is actually rad.
And it's funny, the word movement became a thing on accident.
Yeah.
I just wanted the Instagram page to be called I'm Rad. And then and I refused to do a period or an underscore. So I was like, fuck, man. So then I'm Rad was taken by somebody in like fucking Serbia with like fucking 20 followers, right? Never responded back to me when I wanted to like buy the name from him. So I was like, all right. So I evolved it and it just evolved into the Rad Movement.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is I'm rad. I'm rad was the tattoo that started it. I don't know if anyone can see that.
I mean,
but I got this tattoo to remind myself that I'm rad. Then I started giving it to people for free to remind them that they're rad. And so I just wanted to name it I'm Rad because that's what it was. And then it turned into the Rad Movement. And then that was hard for me to receive because people would be like, oh, your movement. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I think the responsibility got me there.
Yeah, I think
the responsibility that I started a fucking movement to believe in yourself. That's hard. I can't handle it.
I imagine, yeah, man.
But I can't.
At least I found out now what tattoo I'm getting from you if we ever meet in real life.
That's it, dude. We do one of those, and then whatever else forms from this, it forms. But yeah, dude, I love giving the I'm Rad tattoo to people. And it's weird because sometimes you can feel people just want a free tattoo from the famous guy, and that's fucking uncomfortable. But I also just try to do those. Yeah, because I'm like, you know what?
I think no one don't just want a tattoo from the famous guy though.
Right, dude. And it feels gross saying that, calling myself the famous guy, right? But dude, I have to accept the level of fucking accomplishment I've achieved, right? Because if I don't look at that word famous as something good instead of something gross, then I'm hurting myself with what I built. Because when I meet a famous person, I'm like, wow, this is so great because you're famous to me.
Yeah.
You know? And if you fucking smack me in the face with oh, fuck you, I'm nobody, well, that hurts. So I've got to live, and I've got to live in what I've built. And what I think the important thing to keep,
obviously, the important thing to keep sight of there is that you're famous because you mean something to other people. That's why you become famous, no matter what extent it is to. It is because there's some sort of meaning you have to those people, for good or bad. Most often good when you become famous, but you mean something to other people.
And that I think receiving that was hard, right? Because we don't want to be seen as much as we want to be seen.
Plus, as we talked about earlier, you started out your journey becoming a tattoo artist 30 years ago, you probably never thought about, fuck it, I'm gonna be the famous fucking guy from Ink Master from Florida with one leg and stuff like that, You just thought, fuck, man, I'm going to become a tattooer. My dad was a tattooer. I think it's a cool job. I'm going to become a tattooer,
There's lots of boobs in tattooing. I like that. There's lots of naked girls in the pic. The artwork is, it's
I wasn't going to mention your current wife and her assets, but we do have a type.
I obviously have boob attraction, right? So, but and that's the thing, dude. And it's not in a creepy way. As a kid, I was looking at these magazines and there was drawings of pretty women naked, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. But there was also drawings of two gay mermaids fucking, and I thought that was cool, and these all these things that I saw, teddy bears and fucking fruit and food and whatever you wanted, you could make on somebody's skin, and they get to decorate their walls of their body house the way they want to,
I think that's a thing you always, since I got to know you and also from a distance before we ever started talking, I think that's a thing you and artists like you illustrate quite well about the tattoo world, that there's a lot of weirdness in it in a very beautiful way, and there's a lot of different things you can do in it, and you can really just be yourself, like you said earlier as well. Again, I've met a guy once that had a devil tattooed above his crotch and then his cock tattooed red and black, and that's what floats his boat. Shit.
Right, dude. It's so funny because it's so fucking real.
Man. Was it you or somebody else on Ink that had tattooed somebody's cock to look like a snake once?
No, I might have talked about my friend Newell. Who has his cock tattooed. I've never done a penis tattoo. I've never done a vagina tattoo. I've never done an asshole tattoo. It's really weird. I'm the guy you would expect to have done all this
Absolutely.
But no, man, that weirdness just always kind of finds its way around to others.
Well, to anyone listening that is brave enough,
right?
Especially if you somehow have all three, hit up Robbie at Rad Ink in Florida.
Right? RadInkFlorida.com gets you your your dick and your vagina tattooed, you know?
Just
like,
one round, one trip through that nether region.
You know, preferably if you have all three of those parts, you know? Like,
I mean, that'll be a sight to behold as well. That's like putting awareness on it almost like that.
Viral content all day on that one. And like, that's the thing, like when the baby was born and I wasn't tattooing a lot, yeah, I did sign up to be a content creator, right? So I fucking exploited the shit out of my beautiful, adorable son and got tons of fucking views from it to keep my shit relevant for when I got to tattooing again. But also, as a proud dad, to share how beautiful my son is and how much I get to show off how much I love him. Because
I mean, you are quite proud, a very, very supportive dad too. I can't remember how many children you have, but at least two. I know of the two sons at least. Two?
The oldest Jaden, he's 22. The youngest Zen, he's a year and a half almost. And I have a different special love and connection to each one of them. Jaden and I grew up together. I was 20 when he was born. He's 22 now. You know, neither one of us knew what the fuck we were doing, so we were always learning lessons simultaneously through life, right? Zen now, I feel like a granddad and a dad built into one, because the way that you see granddads and grandparents act about their kids, you know, like I can have a martini and watch you fucking run around and fall and not lose my brain, you know, like, but also I can look at you and cry because I love you so much. And I was too cool for school when Jaden was young to like tap into those type of emotions and that type of love for him. Because, and look, so I'm going to say some words that aren't PC, but I felt kind of gay, like loving my son that way. And it's not to be derogatory to anyone.
No, but it's describing the kind of culture that was back then and you were part of at the time. Yeah.
Yes. It was a culture that I was embarrassed to kiss my son in public and love him and hold him and cry with him and be a good dad without being tough. Like tough was more important than being soft and sweet. And now you're going to be scared if you have to fucking see me tough when I'm soft and sweet. Because if you took me off soft and sweet and forced me tough, man, it's going to be a bad time. You know, like, I mean, I know I don't need to be tough anymore, but now I know I have tough as a way to protect my loved ones, to protect my business, to protect my ventures, to protect myself. I only use tough when it's necessary now. And I allow love way more forward because it needs to be.
Yeah, you can do it with the heart to, you know.
Right, you're right, and I feel like that was a softening measure that I didn't even realize I was doing it. You know, like I don't want people to be afraid of me. So like, what do? Put a heart on your face, you know. But the thing is, I used to love people being afraid of me. My dad was a 6'4" Cuban, and he was strong and scary and stoic, and I don't want to say mean, but not overtly nice.
Stern.
What's that?
Stern.
Stern, exactly. Yes. So like, I grew up with that. And a lot of that didn't feed my inner child's need for love and being seen and support, right? So at a young age, I wanted to be tough like my dad and stern like my dad. But then as I got older, I realized it felt gross and it wasn't my true north. And love was my fucking center. Like when I realized love was my center, I started using it as a tool rather than, oh, well, I'm a pussy because I love.
Well, I'd say to give it a nicer ring, and I think this is more in confidence, I'd rather say you used it as sort of a booster in a way, rather than a tool. Like, because I think you rather used it to like build you up and evolve yourself rather than you know just hammer some nails into something, or you know, like
right.
I think very much so, like, and I mean, as every good academic does, especially when they make cool tattoo artist friends, I've of course stalked your profile way back in the day as well. You can clearly see like when the love Robbie kind of like starts and all of that stuff, and art really takes off. Like you can see it in everything, you know. So it sort of comes full circle. Like you develop as a person, you develop as an artist, and you develop, you know, career-wise, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny because on that same post I was talking about where I asked what impact I've had on people, And this is so like that was solely for selfish reasons. I'm going to use some of those reviews on my website to talk about the help I give people, but also I'm going to use those reviews as when I'm having dark days. And
I'm
I
going to
need
give you
someone
one
to
at one
be
point. I know you haven't tattooed me, but I'm going to give you one you can use for your website, man.
I appreciate it, man. And I got this one from a guy. I did one convention with him. He threw this convention in Champaign, Illinois. Really awesome dude. And he just made an account of how the 10 minutes we got to like snag a vodka or a Coke and a hot dog together and chat. Like he still holds on to that, the words that I dropped there.
Man,
you know, like,
awesome.
and it's like, man, it's so cool to see that, like, I'm famous to people because of what I mean to them more than my accolades. And what I mean to them is that I've tried really hard to be the best version of myself. And they see it and they let me know that I am. And that means.
I think that is a beautiful note to round it off. It's just a great, lovely, like, love-filled fucking full stop to put on this episode. Now, Robbie, I know a lot of people will probably know already, but please tell me and everybody else, what have you got going? Where can people find you? All that stuff.
Okay. So I do a lot.
Yeah, that is absolutely.
I'm about to do my podcast on reinventing the tattoo in a couple minutes, but I am a tattooer. I own a tattoo studio called Rad Ink. If you look it up on the internet, it's radinkflorida.com, Rad Ink Florida on Instagram, Rad Ink Florida on Facebook.
And just for anybody listening from outside America, it's not R-A-T, it's R-A-D.
R-A-D, yes. Yeah. Yes, rad. It's not red, it's not rat, it's rad. And you know, it came from the I'm Rad tattoo. And my tagline I've had is I'm rad and so are you. You know, just like the book, The Four Agreements at the beginning, he talks about the man having this awakening, realizing he's God, but you are God too, and you're God, and we're all God. We all have God inside of us. And this isn't from a religious perspective, God being the best version. Like even you as an atheist have God inside of you because the best version of you exists inside of you right now. So the Rad Movement is something I started when I wanted to kill myself after I got on Ink Master and I didn't feel rich and famous. Even though I was living in a 6-bedroom house, you know, with a theater room and a heated pool and a really amazing art space. And, you know, my wife at the time had a shoe room because we had so much fucking room in the house, right? And I still didn't feel rich and famous. And I wanted to kill myself because I viewed success as the wrong things. So that's where the Rad Movement really came from. And I realized if motivational speakers could make me not want to die, then maybe I could help some tattooers not want to die. Maybe I could help some tattooers shift and focus and make their lives better. So I'm always in the process of growing, evolving, and doing all kinds of wacky things. So check out the Rad Movement on YouTube and also the_Rad_Movement because I finally gave in to underscores and dots. Because I realized it wasn't about how it was presented, it was about how I presented it. You know? And so the Rad Movement is motivational stuff, tattoo related motivation, tattoo related stuff, cool stuff I do. We're going to start doing music that we're throwing concerts on my back porch at my shop. And I'm going to start putting the music on the Rad Movement. So it's basically all things rad that stem from a great place, helping others, doing the best for yourself, living your fucking dreams. And it's not about being clean and whitewashed and normal. It's about living your true life, sans PhD or with PhD. You know what I'm saying? You get to live who the fuck you want to live. So that's what that's about. If you are interested in personal coaching, where I do mental wellness coaching, transformation coaching, all kinds of different things, you can reach out to me personally and we can discuss that there. I've done some group coaching in the past. I may get back into that if I can figure out the business side of it to where it isn't soul sucking, because selling people on getting coached by me was gross. I hated it. It felt disgusting. But coaching people made me feel sexy and beautiful and helpful and wonderful. So when it feels properly aligned, I'll be doing more of that. And it may come from enough people just reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to get coached by you. You know, because the sales part hurt, but the coaching part is great. So we also are doing a free love tattoo event at our studio in September this month.
And where's your studio, Robbie?
What's that?
Where's your studio, Robbie?
In Melbourne, Florida. Not Australia, Florida.
I would say the accent would be a bit of a strange one in the Australian one.
I got a killer following in Australia because I've been hashtagging Melbourne for years. But Free Love is the day that I set up years ago we set it at 50 tattoos initially, and I wanted to do all 50 free tattoos in all 50 states. Then we broke the leg and things changed. So now I am doing one Free Love day a year at my studio. I'm probably going to advertise it this year because I need to just stop being a sissy. Advertise everyone in the world that wants to be a part of it to do the same fucking thing. And all we do on Free Love Day is we have flash sheets with free, like, love-based tattoos, self-love, LGBTQ friendly love, all kinds of love, right? And I'll release these sheets for everyone to use and then add whatever they want. But we do free tattoos, and the only thing we charge you is to go pay it forward.
Nice.
So if you get to pay it forward once with your tattoo, great. But if every time you look at that tattoo and you want to go pay it forward, fuck, how much more did I put in this world than taking $100 minimum tattoo from me?
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much more meaningful. So this is me saying it out to the world. I'm going to advertise Free Love Day for everyone that wants to be a part of it. So if you're a tattoo studio and you want to do Free Love Day, fuck it, let's do it. I'll probably create the hashtag Free Love Day. And unless it's probably already a thing, I don't know. I'll figure something out. But yeah, so that's all the things I'm really passionate about and all the things I'm doing right now. I swear I have ADHD, but I refuse to take medicine for it. So I rely on discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline, not medicine. Donna takes Adderall, and it's fucking great. Like,
yeah, my brother's the same. He takes it, but
dude,
different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely. So she handles it, dude. I've eaten Adderall in the past, and the shit makes me sweaty. So like, fuck it. You know? I'd rather go for discipline and kill in the gym. You know what I'm saying? So, which is another thing. This is my 12th week back in the gym. I want to just share that with anyone who's watching, in case you feel like it's too hard. Because, man, when I got back in the gym, I cried a lot. Like, crying in the gym is one of my favorite things to do. It's weird. It's this transcendental pain thing, So when you're pushing yourself to pain that makes you cry, woo! It's like David Goggins said, all that shit that comes out in his breakdown is so healing. So I've been 12 weeks back. I took last week off due to the flu and didn't even fucking beat myself up over it. I just got back, right? Like, I just got back in today and I'm like, ugh! Like, I just feel strong. Dude, that's it. Yeah. Where's the beach? That way. Like,
which is important in Florida, to be honest.
Dude, yeah, right? And like, I was just talking to one of my best friends who's a personal trainer last night, and I was like, dude, I used to look at it as like, oh, I gotta keep it up for 3 months. Well, now I'm like, no, you start keeping it up at 3 months. Then 6 months, you really see change. Then by a year, you're a totally different person. So like, I'm dedicating to making myself healthy because I can't die before Zen gets to know me more. That's awesome. So I just wanted to let anyone know, if you're struggling with diet or exercise or any type of mental wellness journey, any part of your health and wellness, if you're struggling, great. That means you know where you need to fix it.
Yep.
And keep doing it. Because
go to the gym.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Eat better. Get a tattoo. Go to the gym. Do some fucking meditation. Do some yoga. I don't know. Love yourself more. Fucking love your spouse more. Bro, that's one thing. when I started speaking better to Donna and learning how to communicate more effectively with her, I feel better about the way that we work.
Nice, man. Yeah, man.
You know, like she used to tell me, you know, it'd be a lot better if you told me what I'm doing good instead of what I'm doing bad. I'm like, well, I just want to highlight what needs work. And like now I get a sense of pride and accomplishment when I tell her, hey, I really appreciate the work you're putting into this. Because she's been telling me for years, just tell me nice things. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I need to tell you where you're wrong because that's how I fucking grow. And it's like, she takes Adderall. I rely on discipline. We obviously operate differently. So I need to give her what she needs instead of what I need. So yeah, those are my last tidbits, guys.
Well, Robbie, as always, man, as your movement's called a lot, you're fucking rad, dude. Thank you for always being helpful to me and everybody else. You know, you help a lot of people and you share a lot of love. And thank you so fucking much for being on this, man.
Mads,
I'll try and live up to it, man.
I appreciate you being who you are, and you've been living up to it ever since we met. Just keep doing it, man. Just keep fucking doing it. And I'm really honored that you chose me to make your logo up for this podcast. And like I said, we're getting on that this week. And I'm excited to create something because the ideas they've been playing. They've been flowing.
Nice, man.
And so now that I'm off the sick, now I feel like, all right, I can work again. Because dude, last week I didn't do anything. So
before we start another podcast episode, I have to say goodbye to Robbie.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for listening, people, and stay tuned.
Yes. Dude, thank you. I love you, Mads. I love you all. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a great day.